Demiurge, the cosmic framer of the manifested world. Welcome back to Ancient, the Architect TV. Tonight we are dealing with the Demiurge, not as rumor, not as internet mythology, not as a simplified villain. We are dealing with the Demiurge as a metaphysical principle. The Demiurge is the formative self within manifestation. It is the power by which the higher pattern enters the lower planes and becomes active as world order, soul order, structure, law, animation, and development. It is the divine architectonic intelligence operating inside the field of becoming. That is where we begin. The Demiurge is not the absolute beyond all worlds. It is the self as active builder of worlds. It is the cosmic framer. It is the internal ruler. It is the world-ordering intelligence by which the universe becomes a structured process, rather than an unintelligible chaos. So when we speak of the Demiurge, we are speaking of that principle through which archetype becomes formation. Through it, the higher enters the lower. Through it, pattern becomes cosmos. Through it, life is organized. Through it, matter is not left formless. Through it, the evolving order of existence is sustained. This is why the Demiurge can be called the world soul. The phrase means that manifested existence is not merely a pile of disconnected things. It is inwardly held together by a unifying formative life. The world is carried by an ordering soul principle. The cosmos is framed from within. The Demiurge names that inward framing power. But the term goes even further. The Demiurge is also described as the Archetypal Man immersed in matter. This means that the primordial pattern of selfhood has descended into the lower field and taken up the labor of manifestation. The divine pattern is no longer only above the world. It is operative within the world. It is engaged with embodiment, development, sequence, and form. The Archetypal Man has entered the process of becoming. That is why the Demiurge belongs to a mystery of descent. The higher does not remain forever outside the lower. It enters it. It takes hold of substance. It shapes it. It governs it. It carries it toward expression. The Demiurge is therefore the self as builder within manifestation, the higher functioning inside the lower, without ceasing to be higher in origin. Now this is where the term becomes even more profound. The Demiurge is not just the builder of the outer world. It is also the structuring principle of the inner human field. The same formative intelligence that orders cosmos also orders the manifested soul. It governs the architecture of the lower self, mind, psychic pattern, embodiment, natural development, and the field in which human consciousness unfolds. So the Demiurge is macrocosmic and microcosmic at once. In the cosmos, it is the world soul. In the human being, it is the inner formative ruler of manifested existence. This means that the human being is not outside the demiurgic order. Humanity unfolds within it. Human life is one of its central theaters. The same law that builds worlds also builds the field in which the soul must awaken. But the deepest layer of the doctrine is this. The Demiurge governs manifestation, yet manifestation bears within itself something higher than ordinary lower consciousness can comprehend. A divine essence is implanted within the lower field. A spiritual seed is lodged within the soul. A higher principle is present, but hidden. The formative order carries more than it consciously knows. The world process is structuring the conditions for the emergence of something concealed within it from the beginning. This is why manifested life is ordered, but unfinished. The cosmos is not meaningless because it is framed by intelligence, but it is not complete because the higher essence within it is still in process of disclosure. That single insight explains the condition of the soul, the condition of humanity, and the condition of the world. The Demiurge governs the field of development. It builds the matrix in which the hidden principle can grow. It provides the architecture of becoming. It sustains the conditions through which what is latent may become actual. So the lower order is not an endpoint. It is a prepared field. The soul enters embodiment. The higher principle remains concealed. Development proceeds. Purification proceeds. Unfoldment proceeds. And what was hidden begins gradually to come forth. That is why the Demiurge belongs to both involution and evolution. In involution, the higher descends into the lower and becomes concealed within the structures of manifestation. In evolution, what was hidden begins to rise through those same structures toward conscious realization. The Demiurge governs that middle order, the entire formative field through which descent becomes development, and development becomes revelation. So when we say Demiurge, we are naming the divine formative function within the universe, the builder of the world, the framer of the lower planes, the organizer of life and law, the inward ruler of manifested process, the matrix in which the hidden spiritual principle is carried toward emergence. And this also tells us something decisive about humanity. The human being is not merely a biological organism or a social personality. The human being is a developmental vessel of archetypal realization. Humanity is the place where the hidden divine pattern seeks conscious manifestation. The Demiurge frames the field in which this can occur. It builds the order within which the archetypal man may become actual in individual souls. So the perfected human being is not an accident. It is the intended flowering of a process built into the very structure of manifestation. That is the grandeur of the doctrine. The world is not random matter. The soul is not a meaningless byproduct. Humanity is not a closed biological event. There is an inward architecture to becoming. There is a formative intelligence in the world process. There is a hidden spiritual essence seeking emergence through the lawful structures of manifested life. The Demiurge names that formative intelligence. At the highest level, then, the Demiurge is the self as cosmic framer within manifestation, the world soul that organizes the evolving order, the archetypal formative power that enters matter, the internal ruler that structures the lower planes, and the sacred matrix in which the hidden higher nature is brought toward living expression. That is the Demiurge.